This word is from the 19th of December 2019. I was in the town hall in Sydney attending my daughter's end of year presentation day for her high school, and it was an unusual season 2019 in Sydney, Australia. There were fires raging all across the country. If you remember, there were photos on the internet of bushfires from east to west, north to south. Everywhere. It was very unusual, extraordinary circumstance to have so much bushfire activity in one month of the year, and the city of Sydney was bathed in smoke on that day. It was eerie, and they'd sent home at the end of the school year, they'd sent home emergency warnings to the children to have them evacuated from their schools, a number of schools that were near fire-prone areas, and it caused a great deal of hysteria and alarm. It was the first time I've ever seen an SMS emergency services message come from the schools recommending your children be taken to mental health institutions on account of the climate emergency, the bushfire season that was raging around the state. And there was no explanation for it, really. It was strange fire. It was coming from a source nobody really understood. It wasn't natural ignitions, but it seemed to be maybe pyromania or a deliberately lit fire to signal a season that was coming. And that day on the 19th of December, I was sitting in the Queen Victoria building having a coffee, and I had the paper splayed out across the table in front of me, reading a quote from one of our federal ministers talking about Vladimir Putin and his remark that liberal democracy is dead. And I was shocked by that comment. I was shocked that we'd got to a point in history that one of the world's biggest leaders was telling us that our political system had come to an end. I didn't quite understand it, but it was sure a sign of what was coming around the corner months ahead. In March the following year is when COVID-19 was declared, and I received another group of warnings, 5 judgments from God over the COVID season about global judgment coming from heaven. And so this is a divine spiritual season, and there are 2 forces at work here. We have the kingdom of hell, the destroyer, and the kingdom of heaven working in concert almost with one another to bring about God's final purpose. One of them is judgment against the sins of men, unrepented, and the other is the establishment of the kingdom of heaven on earth, which is pretty extraordinary, pretty amazing days that we're living in. And so what we're facing now is a human system takeover, political system takeover between the kingdom of hell, which in political terms is represented by LGBTQ plus Marxism political plus the false prophet, which is Islam, the political Islam movement. And they're all working together. These are all atheistic, satanic energies, forces that deny Christ. And so this is where we are, the overthrow of the Revelation story and the kingdoms in Daniel that are spoken of, the stories in Daniel, is what we're facing at the moment. I've got rain coming down on me and I don't want my laptop to get wet. But here's the word that I received on the 19th of December at Town Hall when the smoke was bathed across the city. Eerie days. RIP Australia 2020, December 2019, a smoke alarm rang out echoing beneath the high ceilings of the Grand Town Hall. Emergency evacuation. An eerie cloud, ashen grey, descended on the sleeping city, bathed in a stupefying haze, a smoke screen, sleight of hand, screaming global warming from the rooftops. Bushfires raged across the nation, evidence of climate change or an epidemic of sadism, nihilism, pyromania. Maybe this is Judgment Day. Out of sight, obscured from view, behind the pantomime of the climate cult, the fast track to our demise arrived in perfect time like a train at the station. Blissfully unaware we were, and we made our moves as Rome burned around us, played by masters of strategy in a great game of chess on the eve of COVID hysteria. For so long they'd waited to see this day when the gluttonous excesses of capitalism would birth destruction, be it through blind ignorance, exhausting the planet with relentless accumulation of assets, or the delusion of amoral materialism poisoning our souls. It mattered not. From the pages of The Australian, at my coffee table in the Queen Victoria building, commemorating the vast expanses of a crumbling empire, Vladimir Putin delivered the verdict. Liberal democracy is dead. Masters of strategy are patient people. RIP Australia 2020. And this is a quote from Lenin. This is what he said in 1924. They, the capitalists, will furnish credits which will serve us for the support of the Communist Party in their countries, and by supplying us materials and technical equipment which we lack, will restore our military industry necessary for our future attacks against our suppliers. To put it in other words, they will work on the preparation of their own suicide. Vladimir Lenin, 1870 to 1924.